Welcome to the Fearless Females Voice podcast, where women's stories and experiences are shared in order to empower and inspire others. Before we begin this podcast, I wanted to let you know that there is a free Becoming Fearless test on my website, which will take less than 5 minutes to complete. This test will show you how fearless you are and give you some great tips and techniques at the end. You can check it out on www.fearlessfemales.me. I am so excited to release this episode where I'm joined by Rima Patel, who is now a full-time yoga instructor. Rima spent the first 25 years of her life going down the expected life route for her. She studied, got herself a great job and started a family. She had always been curious-minded and felt that there was something missing. It's not that she wasn't happy, but she knew there was more. Rima then started an 18-month yoga course which changed her life. This course allowed her to think differently, introspect, and understand more about herself. She was a new woman. On this podcast, Rima talks to us about her life before yoga, what yoga even is, meditation and her experiences of it, some mindful techniques she uses, and how she has evolved as a person. I was smiling and nodding throughout this whole episode because I could completely relate with Rima and her journey. It's so great hearing her story and seeing how far she has come to be in the place she is at now. I know you'll love the listen, so without further ado, let's get stuck in. So, what does being a fearless female mean to you?
So my answer might feel a little bit strange. So I think for most of us, when we think about being fearless, we think of being kind of powerful, out there, maybe loud, or at least I used to always think of it like that. So quite kind of bold. I actually, over the recent years, have found as well as those things are really important. So I think those kind of qualities are really important in some situations where it's necessary, and also for some personalities or some types of people that really works for them. For me, I've found in recent years that actually, for me, being fearless is actually just it's almost being quieter, having an inner confidence, not always having to kind of just put things out there just for the sake of it. It's actually just reeling it back in slightly and having that confidence internally, which I don't think I had for most of my life, probably for the first 25 years of my life. And I think that's what's really helped me to actually just feel like I'm living a life that feels fearless for me, like it's a life that I want to live on my terms. I make decisions for myself, by myself, using things, but I don't necessarily do them to kind of appease other people around me or what I think that people expect from me. So I think that's been quite a journey for me.
I love that. It's interesting, the perception that you said about what you initially thought fearless was, right? The kind of woman or the man who's kind of bold, assertive, out there. When actually, I agree with the second part of what you said about what you think fearlessness is, right? It's about your inner confidence, what you believe in, how you come across, but it's not necessarily about, for me anyway, about how loud you are or how assertive you are in certain situations. Like, it's about having the confidence within. So I really like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I guess that's a really good word. It is a perception. It's not anything I was even told directly, or it was nothing I learned. It was just what I picked up from different situations, I guess, growing up, that actually to be a fearless, kind of powerful person, you do have to do all those things. But yeah, it's definitely not true.
Yeah. And this is it. This is all the external influences that kick in, and everything from when you're growing up and how people tell you to live and how you should be living, and all these kind of influences are then impacting or making that perception of what is fearless as a woman as well. So it's interesting. It's good that you've come to your own conclusion and you're comfortable with that as well, especially with the way you're living now. So that's the key thing there. That's really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm intrigued to know more about your journey, because I know that you teach yoga. And I love all the content that you've got on Instagram. So everyone needs to check out her page, which I'll put on the show notes. And I just love the messaging that you're putting out there, everything you're doing about mindfulness, self-love, everything. So can you tell us more about your journey and how you've got to where you are now?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, thank you so much. That's really sweet to hear, because it does it's quite scary putting yourself out there. I think I've got a little bit more comfortable with it along the way. But yeah, when I first started, like maybe just under a year ago or so, I was so nervous. Every single thing I put out there, I would really kind of be so nervous every time I posted it and stuff. And that's changed along the way, which in itself is a journey. I think I've learned so much from it. But yeah, it's taken a long time to kind of get to this place where I feel confident and I feel comfortable, like you said, like in just exactly where I am, to feel comfortable here. And yeah, I guess going back, I don't know how far to go back, but to be honest, the first like 20 or 25 years of my life in a nutshell were pretty, I would say, standard in terms of what I was used to with the people around me and the kind of community society that I was used to seeing. So I was lucky that I was in a very kind of privileged position in terms of, you know, family, and I was kind of put in good schools, good universities, all the kind of usual stuff that I was used to seeing around me. So I just went with that. I studied kind of along the way as much as I needed to. I was a very do the bare minimum type of person. And I think that was not because that's all I needed to do, but that's because I never really knew my way. I think I just kind of followed the crowd. I just followed what my parents expected of me when I was young. As I grew up, it was what my friends were doing around me, what the people around me that I was seeing doing, maybe a few years ahead if they looked happy, in inverted commas, if they looked happy and they lived the life that I thought I wanted. I kind of just followed that. So I just, I went to high school, went to university. I started some grad jobs, and I was really lucky. Like I was really fortunate that the university that I went to was amazing. The job that I kind of landed was amazing. It was with one of the big four accounting firms. Again, I followed accounting because that was one of the top things that I was seeing around me. People were doing. It seemed to be financially stable, all these things that I kind of thought that I wanted. And I don't think, from speaking to people more and more, I think that I wasn't the only one. It was very natural to kind of go down that road. It was just all you did, right?
I think it's about your conditioning from a young age, even for me. So all I knew was, right, I need to go to school, then I need to go to university, then I need to get a job. But that's all I really knew. And everyone around me was doing the same thing. I didn't know what else there was to do. And then it's all the external influences like, oh, well, I don't know, bankers, they make a lot of money. Okay, well, should we go into banking? Like, it's just the common thing about what's everyone else doing, what will get you the most kind of financial success, I guess, because that's what I was like when I was kind of 17, 18. That's my thought process. So completely relate to that.
Oh, good. Yeah. So I mean, basically what you've just said, so that's kind of all it was, to be honest. And I think, although I was from the outside, I think it would be very natural for people to think like, oh, she's got a good job, she's got this, like she must be happy, she's living a good life. But I was never unhappy. I was very lucky. I can't say that I was ever unhappy, but I wasn't happy either. Like I don't think I was ever content, because I never even stopped to even ask myself, what do I need to be happy, to be content? And if you don't even ask yourself that question, how can you be, right? Like if you're just floating through doing what you think is expected. I was just there. I feel like I just kind of existed as a bit of a blur. And then in the last sort of 4 or 5 years, I feel is where I feel like I've had clarity, and I feel like everything's just a bit clearer. And there are still so many areas that I'm just muddling through. Of course, like motherhood is a whole new area that I've come to in the last few years. And that's been a whole new journey in itself. But I think what's really helped is having that inner kind of, I guess, confidence, just learning that about myself and starting to see like that I was missing something. So I think along the way, when I got to sort of my mid-20s, I guess, I kind of felt like, why am I not enjoying this? Like I have a really good job that people would really do anything to have. It was one of the top jobs in my kind of industry. I have everything. Like there was nothing to complain about as such, but I just didn't feel fulfilled. I think that's a good word. I just did not feel like I had any kind of purpose. I was just floating through, and there was just no meaning to anything. And then when you're feeling like that, is natural, you just waste away your time, you waste away your energy on things that are not going to give you anything in return. If anything, it just took away my energy. So again, just all through my kind of 20s, I think it was towards my late 20s where I really found like I did need something, and I was looking for something. And that was the first step, to just know that there is something I was looking for, and it felt like I still didn't really quite know what it was. I started going to some yoga classes just by chance. It was around the time that kind of hot yoga came about, and it was a really cool fad. And I went to some classes with some friends. Yeah. So I did that, sweated it out, learned some yoga moves. The hot yoga element wasn't quite for me, but it just introduced me to something that was really new. I'd never really practiced any kind of yoga before. I had my own preconceptions about it, that who should practice yoga. It was something that maybe I'll do in my older life when, you know, that's the time to do it, apparently. But yeah, I just found that I enjoyed it, and I just tried out different classes. I actually didn't even like the first few classes I tried. I tried some local classes, some in my gym. I just couldn't really connect with it. And I think a lot of it is to do with the teacher. I think yoga is it's one of these practices that I think when you find the source that's right for you to learn from, that's when you can kind of take it in, and also at the right time in your life. I think that's something that I really believe in, that things come to you when you're ready for them. So as I started to question things, I think it kind of slowly came in my vicinity, like yoga and that kind of spiritual world, but I still wasn't quite ready. I was still doing things that weren't really in tune with my natural kind of self, just because I thought that was the way I needed to go.
Such as what? Such as what kind of things were you not doing which were in tune with your?
So it's more about, so I guess, I mean, it's very normal things that I still like doing in balance, but I guess I spent every single weekend just going out clubbing, pretty much every single Saturday
I've been there.
Night. Yeah, and it was fun. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure I had a really good time, and I got it all out of my system. So now when I can't go clubbing every Saturday, I don't really miss it at all. So it's okay. But that's all I did. I kind of just wasted away my energy. I thought that spending money on going out to nice places, buying nice things, going on nice holidays, all of those things would make me happy. And they just didn't. And I still liked those things in balance. I still like nice things. I'm not going to lie. Like, I like going to nice holidays, all of those things. But I just realized that those are things that are not going to make me truly happy in the long run if I don't get the other stuff sorted. Like, if I don't get my own kind of self-worth.
Yeah, I get it. It's not a contribution towards your happiness. It's something that's just happening that you enjoy, but actually deep down, there's something else that you were trying to understand. What is the key to that happiness? Because it's not,
exactly.
You enjoy the holiday. Everybody enjoys the holiday. I love traveling, but that's not the thing that key to make me happy. There's something else that I know.
Yeah.
So I guess that's your discovery.
Definitely. And I guess the last year and a half, I guess now, has been such a true reflection of that as most of those things have been taken away from us, can you still be happy? Like, that's been such a great test to see, can you be happy with what you've got left? Because those things can be taken away literally just like that.
Absolutely.
Whether it's because of a pandemic or change in your circumstances, all of those things can be taken away. So I think it's just finding that balance, that I found that I can be grateful for the great things I have. There's nothing to be ashamed about or embarrassed about or thinking that I need to get rid of all those things. I don't need to do that, but it's just adding the right things into my life so I can keep that perspective to know actually what I need to be truly kind of content has been, it's been that. I think that in itself has been the journey for me. And along the way, yoga has been a huge part of it. So the way I came into my kind of yoga as more of a profession, I guess right now, is from kind of having elements of it through classes and things. I actually knew a colleague of mine at one of my jobs where she was doing it was a yoga qualification, but it was quite a deep one where it went over nearly 18 months. So it was kind of every so often on the weekends and evenings and things, but over 18 months, it was it was a lot of concentration on the spiritual element and even just aspects of like learning more about yourself. So she would randomly tell me the things that she'd been doing in these sessions, and it was working on your public speaking. It was working on your ability to be more compassionate to others, and all these things that I never really thought about when I thought about yoga. I thought yoga was downward dog, doing warrior pose.
The movements, yeah.
Exactly. It was all the physical stuff, which that is a tiny part of yoga. And that part will help your life. But the other parts that I found from this course, they're the ones that will change your life. The connection with yourself, learning about yourself. So I just kind of got drip fed these different elements about this course, and I couldn't do it at the time. I was kind of working full time. Then I got pregnant. I had my first child, and randomly, I wasn't even really in touch with this colleague at that time, but when my first child was I think about 5 months, I just felt like I wanted to do something that just felt like I had the time. I had this maternity leave where I was really lucky. I had a really good support network around me that I could actually do something else on top of kind of being a first time mother, which I know is very rare.
Yes.
I was
Is that
really
like
lucky.
family and friends who were able to support?
Yeah, I just had a really supportive family who were able to kind of help me. Even my husband's always been really supportive where he can, on top of his very busy work, but having, mums and mother-in-laws just to help out, like, it was just really lucky.
Helps.
So
Yeah.
really, really helped. So yeah, I was able to I just got in touch with the person who ran this course, and by chance they just started one. And they, again, I said, I feel like things come to you when you're ready for it.
Yes.
I couldn't really explain why I even reached out to this person. And the main person who kind of ran the course just started it, which they only do every couple of years anyway. So I was just lucky that they just started a new course so I could kind of join onto it.
That really was a calling for you.
Yeah, I always feel like that. Like, it just felt like it was the right time for me.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. And then, yeah, I did that course. I actually just started it because I just, like I said, I wanted to learn a bit more about the spiritual side, a bit more about yoga, about myself, just all these other skills that I kind of learned through my colleague that it would help with. And I didn't even really think I would teach. I never really thought I was going to become a yoga teacher from being an accountant.
That was never the goal when you started. So the goal of you doing that course was purely just for your own self-learning?
Yeah, just to find out a bit more about it. Like, I knew that you would be qualified at the end of the course to be a teacher. So of course it was possible.
Yeah.
But I didn't really even think about how I would do that, where I would do that, who I would teach, nothing. Because it seemed so out there. It was just something that I wanted to do to find out more about the whole subject and stuff.
That is amazing. You take this new opportunity that comes to you, and then that leads to your end game, or not even end game, but the next level of your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So
wow.
It's really, really, I think it's just been, it's really special when things like that happen. And I think they do when you allow things to come. And if you genuinely put something out there that you need something, and just to always, I'm quite a big believer in kind of, things happen for a reason, and they happen when they're supposed to. So yeah, like that all just kind of fell into place. I carried out that course, like I said, over 18 months. I actually started teaching. So the day that I qualified to be a yoga teacher at the end of that course is when I found out I was pregnant with my second child.
Oh.
So it was a bit like, oh, okay, I'm ready to like try this new thing, but I'm also pregnant with my second child. I don't know what it's going to be like, but I think by then I had already picked up a lot of I guess life skills that I was missing before. So through the course, I really had learned. It even really strengthened this kind of belief in just try out things, see what happens, not to have too many expectations. Again, not kind of worrying about what other people thought. So I was a little bit skeptical, thinking if I teach a yoga class while I'm pregnant, I can't do some of the moves. People might think I'm less able to do stuff. They might think, oh, she's gonna do a few months and then she's gonna go and have a child. She's not gonna be here around forever, so they're never gonna join my class, and all these things that I was just able to like put to one side.
Good, because they're the blockers. They're the bits that are difficult to put to the side. So that's so good that you're able to do that. Did they teach you kind of tools and techniques on this yoga course to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. There was I think it was just all together. The course definitely had elements of it to teach you more about yourself and some of these kind of more beliefs and just yoga as a subject. So yoga, I always say to people, I actually feel like it's a way of life. It's more of a subject to study and realize it has so many parts to it. Like, it almost has its own way of living, like commandments that you can follow. And that was the first time that I found that I could actually really connect to it's not a religion, but it's almost just something that as a packaged up thing that I could say, yeah, I can fully get on board with this. This is the way that I can live my life. And I can say, yes, I want to be someone who follows yoga as a life principle, not just kind of once a week going to a class, but every single day. And there were just so many things.
This is really eye-opening, because I actually didn't know that about yoga. So when I think of yoga, because we have a yoga studio down the road, and I've been a few times, and I completely agree with you when you said connection with the teacher, because I think I did 3 classes, and the first 2 I didn't really enjoy. So there were two classes with two different women. And then the third one was a different woman again. And when I went to her class, I was like, this is the first time I'm really into it. She was just different, the way she taught. Yeah, but I didn't realize that it was a whole way of life. I thought it was just the movements and the classes.
Just the stretches, the poses. And I think a lot of people think that though.
Yeah. How do you teach what you learn on your course in terms of a way of life to your students as well? Or is it mainly just yoga classes you do?
I do. I really try. So that's where I think, or I feel like I add something different to my classes. And I always, so for example, I've been doing, up until recently, I've been doing like a power yoga class, which if you went to a power yoga class, to a normal, again, in inverted commas, whatever that means. If you went to like your regular power class, it would really be about kind of just strength work and doing funky poses and just all about that physical kind of focus. But when I did my power yoga class, I openly advertised it as strengthening your mind and your body equally. So yes, we build on physical strength, but I always brought in breath work, meditation, just principles. So even as you're practicing a pose, like if you're practicing a warrior pose, yes, there are 10, 20, maybe even physical benefits that you're getting from doing that pose. But there are so many things that you're getting from it in terms of building your willpower, your focus, your inner warrior spirit, like the strength inside. So just bringing that focus to my students, I always try and do that. And even things that I share, like I always try and share that element of it, because I do feel like that's what's missing. And I feel like maybe if I had learned that earlier on in my life, maybe I would have, grasped it earlier and it might have changed things. But you don't know. I guess we all end up where we're supposed to be at the right time. That's
exactly back to that whole element that you said, things will happen for a reason at the right time. I truly believe that as well. There's no real time for when you have these kind of moments. So I was 30 when I received mine, and I was like, right, I need to leave my job, because as you were not fulfilled, I wasn't either. And I found that later on in life, whereas some people I know are like 22 and they're like, yeah, we've done 1 year of work. We don't want to do this anymore. We
exactly.
want to be, I don't know, yoga teacher and go live in Australia or on a beach somewhere. I don't know. And that's fine, right? You can have it whenever. So it's just good that you've been able to find that, because what I find is many people don't even find that. They struggle with understanding that there is more to it. Because, you described your first kind of 25 years as, it's not that you weren't unhappy, but you knew there was something more, right? And you were doing everything that was kind of the same, that you go on the path that's kind of been told to you. And I see that as your comfort zone. It feels like you were really, really in your comfort zone. And now you've just kind of tested the water, stepped out a little bit and thought, oh, is this, what's going on here? And now you're out of it.
Definitely.
You're out of it.
That's it. It's that comfort zone, right? For so many of us, it's really hard to step out of that because you're comfortable. So why would you? But
exactly.
I think that it's as soon as you step out of that comfort zone, that is when things can change and you can grow and your life can just become something that you never even thought it could.
Yes.
But it is really hard to make those steps. And like you said, some people just don't even know. People think that they're happy. I thought I was happy at the time. I thought, yeah, why not? But when I look back, it's only on reflection that I see actually there were so many moments. Like I used to, and to be honest, people who only meet me now find this really hard to believe, but I genuinely had an anger problem. Like that's really? How I would, yeah.
I definitely cannot believe that.
Because that's how I would release it, because clearly things were building up and I wasn't happy and there were things that were festering. And the only way that I would get really frustrated over the smallest of things, and I wouldn't show it to the kind of vast majority of the people, but the only people that really saw it when I was younger, it was probably my mum and my brother have seen me when I get angry, and that leads to I'm kind of angry and I'm a crier as well, all at the same time. So I'm angry, I'm shouting, I'm crying, I'm throwing things, all these things that only like 2 or 3 people in my life ever saw, and my husband's seen that along the years as well. So they're probably the only people that would agree with me that I do have an anger problem when I let it fester up. And I think that's just to show that it will come out some way. So people have different ways. For some people it's having more, maybe they feel more anxiety around things. Maybe for some people like me, it's the anger issue. It could be anything, but it will come out at some point because it's just has to, right? If you let things fester in yourself, it will build up and it will come out at some point.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, because what we tend to do is also bottle up our emotions, and that's when we're kind of suppressing it, and it just causes more and more trauma inside, and it just needs to be released in some form. So yeah,
and it feels really good when it is released, but
yes,
the hard part is finding how you do that, I guess.
Yeah, and that's something that I guess only you can really figure out. So you can have support and help in getting to that, but it's all comes from the inner work that you're doing for yourself. So
absolutely.
No, I like that. And you said that you did this course whilst you were still working. During that time, did you feel more fulfilled, or did you, because I'm assuming that this course helped you with your confidence, as you said, for the first 25 years, it was quite that you were doing the same thing, you were on the same path, and you felt a bit kind of didn't have as much confidence, but then it just grew and you became fearless, as you said. Did this contribute towards that whilst you were working on doing the course?
Yeah, 100%. I think the things that I was learning as I learned more and more about yoga as a subject and some of the elements of it, I think what I found, like in the job that I was at that time, I was working part-time. I obviously had my kind of toddler at that time as well, she was. And so I guess the things that I was learning in the course, I could see changing elements of my life, even in the life that it was at that point. I wasn't teaching, I wasn't a yoga teacher or anything. I wasn't even really sharing it that much with other people because it was just something I was doing for myself.
Yeah.
But I could see so many instances, especially at work, for example, where I don't know if it was just me, but I feel like a lot of us, we're almost like a different person at work, or I felt like I was. And I don't know if that comes from maybe depending on what background you've had, I don't know, gender, race, whatever, I don't know, but it just felt like I had a little bit more of a different persona at work. And along the years, maybe I found a little bit more ways of opening up and stuff, but I still was a different person. I think if I knew I was on work mode, it was different to my, what I am truly in normal life. So there was that kind of switch of personas almost. And I think the course helped me with that. So just to be able to just be myself, share elements of my life, which were quite different to the people around me. So my colleagues, I always felt like I just couldn't share some aspects, and it wasn't anything bad or anything big or small. It was just different. And I think that was one thing I really learned, that I was able to be confident in myself and everything I am. So I was able to share more and more parts of that. I felt like I was able to, I spoke up a little bit more. So I didn't just kind of do what I was told. I was able to kind of speak up a little bit more, not because anyone stopped me before, but I just always...
You stop yourself.
And I am a bit of a people pleaser, and I always felt like I needed to just like, okay, if that's what you want, yes, that's what I'll do. Or if that's the way you want to do it, yeah, let's go that way. Like I always compromise, and compromise is good, but not when you're always being the one to compromise. Exactly. Not because even anyone's forcing you, because you think that you are the one that needs to kind of put your thoughts aside and take on other people's opinions. So I think those sorts of things I definitely saw at work, and in my personal life at that time is when I kind of got introduced, I was into motherhood. It was all new to me. And there was all the usual things that come with that kind of, you don't know what you're doing. No one knows what they're doing. It's this whole new way of life. You've got loads of people's opinions being thrown at you. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, but there's no way of knowing what's going to be right for you. And again, just learning that ability to smile and nod and say, yep, okay, I'll take that on board, but actually having the confidence to do what you think is right out, amongst all that kind of haze, just being able to kind of see a bit more clearly and keeping my shit together, really, like between like working and child and everything, all the labels that we have, I guess, right? If you're a wife, if you're a mother, if you're a daughter, you feel like there's responsibility in all of those areas. And I think just realizing that you are yourself as well. Amongst all of those things, you are yourself first before you're any of those things. So just so many things. The course really opened up my eyes. That kind of year and a half, I think, was the most change I've had in myself. And the funny thing is, I don't think people necessarily saw it from the outside.
I was just going to ask you that. Yeah. Okay.
Because it just felt like I noticed these things. So because you're the one who's going to notice the moments where you naturally would have gone down a certain road. So one of the things I always struggled with was knowing when to stay quiet. That was something. And just knowing when to kind of just take a breath, have some patience, let people kind of do what they're doing. That, I never really had that. I thought I always was in a rush and just felt like I needed to get my opinion out there, because if I don't, it's the end of the world for some reason. So just all these things, it just helped me just get that little bit of patience, that little bit of perspective on things, that some things just are not important to ruin relationships over and things.
Oh, honestly, when you're speaking, I'm just, for those you won't be able to see, but I'm just nodding and smiling because I've been there. It's crazy because I was in that reactive state as well, or I used to be. And then after working on myself and understanding more about patience and listening, the things that I wasn't very good at, it just helped me. And I noticed it, whereas others may not have. But for me, it was like, okay, I'm taking a breath, I'm processing instead of just like trying to get my point out there and just react to something. It's a whole different way. And for me, it worked wonders. And I feel so much better about it. So yeah,
that's really nice to hear. I think it is such a life-changing thing to realize, and there's no clear way of coming to that realization, I don't think, until you actually stop and connect with yourself. You're not even going to realize it.
Exactly. And you've mentioned meditation. So you said that you were doing meditation as well. Can you tell us more about that? So how did you come across meditation, and what does it mean to you? Like, how does it work for you?
So what it means, because I think this bit is where a lot of people have preconceptions, and I definitely did. Meditation is just simply about connecting with yourself. And when I say with yourself, I mean your true self. So it's not about the body, it's not about the external, it's connecting with who you truly are. And you can only do that when you allow yourself, your mind, your body, everything just to settle down and to kind of quiet down that external noise, all of these things that are being thrown at us through people's opinions and social media and everything we see around us, all of that kind of noise, to be able to just quieten it all down and just go inwards and just asking yourself, like, actually, who am I? What do I want? What am I capable of? How am I feeling? Just bringing all that attention inwards and connecting with that inner self. To me, anyway, that is meditation. So there might be different definitions around, and it might work for different people. For me, it's all about that connecting with myself. And how you do it is, it can vary for different people. I've tried different ones. I haven't tried there are so many different types of meditation out there.
Aren't there?
Yeah. And there's more and more. I'm seeing, even kind of, running meditations, walking meditations, even, whereas I'm much more about stillness. So for me to really, I get aspects of it. So when I do rarely manage to get out for a run, I do find it a meditative activity. But to really feel like I've had a true meditation where I feel like I've really connected with myself, it's about stillness, it's about quiet, so that I can hear my own voice, I guess, amongst all of that.
So I've only started doing meditation recently, and I know we briefly had a chat about it. And what I did is I just sat down, put a timer on for an hour, closed my eyes, and then was in my own thoughts. And I was focusing on my breathing.
I'm so impressed that you've done an hour for the first time.
Yeah, I did an hour for the first time, honestly. And how I felt, it was just I'm quite spiritual anyway. I've just not done a form of meditation, but I do it in my own way. You know how you said you find your own kind of meditative state when you're running, for example. Like, I have my own states of mind, but I've never sat down and just did that for an hour. And when I did, I could kind of see the standard colors that come, when you close your eyes, you see the colors from from your eyes being closed. And then as I got into it, obviously you don't know what the time is, but I could just feel my heartbeat going really, like, thumping really, really loudly. And funnily enough, I didn't actually have many thoughts, because I was thinking to myself before, I was like, right, and whatever comes my way, I need to kind of push it out. But I actually didn't have anything. I just let things come and go. And it was really interesting. And I actually haven't done it since, but I think I should give it another go. Is that the kind of experiences that you've had?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible listening to you, because to do an hour meditation is amazing. And for your first time, that's really incredible. So I think, that probably says that you are more connected. Like you said, you have got other spiritual practices and things, and maybe some of those have kind of brought you to this place. So, and it just goes to show you don't have to do meditation in one form, because you probably are practicing elements of it without even realizing it to get you to this point. Because I think a lot of people find it really hard to just sit and be alone and be still, because for me, those are the key aspects of a meditation. I need to be by myself. I need to have quiet around me, maybe some kind of relaxing music, but that's it, nothing else, like no one around me, no distractions, and to be able to go inwards, like that's what it's all about. And I found different things along the way. So I mean, sometimes I have had no experience. I've literally sat there for as long as I can, and all I can do is just think about my to-do list. And those moments, I just know, like, I just can't seem to quieten down, so I need to use other ways. So for me, breath work is quite a powerful way of just calming my mind down if I can't do it just solely through meditation. So for me, that my breath work and my meditation practices are quite interlinked. I almost do them together pretty much as I can consistently.
Sorry, breath work is when you are breathing in a certain way, or you take control of your breathing?
Yeah. So when I say breath work, sorry. So in yoga, you have, I guess, the three key parts of yoga is, there's actually 8 limbs of the traditional yoga, but there's the asana, which is what we're all used to, which is the physical work. Mm-hmm. There's the pranayama, which is the breath work, which is connecting with your breath. And then there are certain exercises in that. So ranging from a very basic, if I said to you just to take a really full breath, so really breathe in from your belly, fill up your whole upper body with air. And similarly, as you exhale, allowing all the air to go just completely. That in itself is a form of breath work, because we don't breathe like that day to day. We're all doing these quick, shallow breathing, and that's not what it's about. So just doing that in itself is a way of breathing that allows me to settle the mind down and kind of go into my meditation practice. And then meditation is a whole nother area. So those 3 areas for me have been the key ones. There are, like I said, 8 really in total. But for me, these 3 are the ones that are key, that I found linked together, give me everything I need to feel healthy mentally and physically, like equally, because I do think they're equally important. I don't think you can just have the physical side and then expect that to kind of help you mentally. I think you need both sides to feel healthy and well in all areas of Absolutely. You, I guess. So so I think breath work is a very key way. I usually use that for people who, if you're new to meditation, like I said, being able to sit still with your thoughts is quite scary for a lot of people.
Absolutely. I know, really I say that to people.
You just don't know what's going to come up. And in the past, I've done one really kind of powerful exercise, I guess it was. I went on a yoga retreat, and this is about 2 years ago now. And all it was for 2 hours to be by yourself. You're not allowed to speak to anyone. You could kind of wander around this place. It was a retreat. It was a really beautiful place in Wales. So you could be outside, inside, wherever you are, but no phone, no technology. You're just with yourself, and you just do what you feel like doing. And for me, in those 2 hours, it was, I think I had a journal with me, and that was it. And it was just kind of sitting out, looking at countryside. So for the first, whatever it was, I don't know, half an hour, whatever, it was enough just to look out. It was just noticing things, just being by myself, maybe walking around. And eventually it was just about going inwards, and all these things came flooding out, like that I didn't even know. Like I was crying, I had all these thoughts, all these like almost epiphanies about random people in my life and random situations, some that hadn't even happened in the recent weeks. It was things that might have happened months ago that would just come back, and I just felt like I needed to write it all down. And it was just all these things coming up that I never even felt before. And I was totally fine before it. I was on this retreat. I thought I was relaxed. I thought I was as happy as I could be. I was on this yoga retreat. Like, how can you be upset on a yoga retreat, sort of thing? But again, just learning that there are so many things inside of us that we don't even know, that are just there waiting to be released.
Yes. And it's about how we release them. This is it. A lot of the things and the fears and everything that we do now, a lot of it comes from our childhood and how we were when we were kids, and little triggers or moments that happened back then that we've kept inside us. Like right now, me thinking back, I won't be able to think of any kind of memories, but the more you do what you've just done, that whole state of understanding more, just silence, stillness, understanding your thoughts, and really thinking about why, or even just thinking about why is it that that's happened? Why is it that I've acted in this way? And actually that's when everything kind of starts coming out, and you can then understand more about, okay, well, this is linked to that moment when, I don't know, my parents said this or did this, and that's actually happened with this. And that can
And
be,
sometimes really small moments. They don't even need to be big
yes,
life events. It's the tiniest thing that one person has said to you that has just stuck with you and became almost, just a path for you almost. It's really, it's almost quite scary how much influence other people can have on you as a person in your life.
absolutely. And this is why I talk about external influences as well. So the people around you, is so important to have the right environment, like not just in
Yeah.
terms of the things you have, but the people are such a big influence. Even things like social media, downtime off your phone, like which I try to do regularly, just to switch off, because that in itself, I know people who scroll through social media for hours, and then they're only supposed to go on for 5 minutes, and next thing you know they're on it for an hour. And
and we've all been there, right?
yeah,
It's so
I've done that in the
natural.
past. Absolutely, I've done that in the past, and now I know how to limit myself from doing that. And also I just know that that's not an attractive thing. Like I should not be doing that, and that's not
Yeah,
helpful
it's
for
just
my own.
not good for you.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's just I guess you just learn as you're doing, and it's just little rules that you can put in place, or disciplines that you have for yourself.
Yeah, and I think all of those things come together. So it's not like any one thing has led me to this way, or this one thing that's going to change anyone's life. It's all of these things together, because as you just mentioned, the phone thing's actually something I'm quite rigid about. Like I'm quite keen. I'm not having my phone around sort of after like 8-9 o'clock on the days that I'm not teaching. If I'm teaching, it's quite difficult because I do it on my phone at the moment. But generally speaking, I have like do not disturb on my phone set. So every day by like 8 or 8:30, it just comes on, and no one can really message me. Or they can message you, but I won't see it. I won't see phone calls. I won't see messages. I definitely don't go on social media and check anything there or see anything, because like you said, it just is not good for me. I know that because I've seen what it can do. Like those are the times where I have sleepless nights. I go to bed with anxiety. I'm worried about things.
Exactly.
I'm just feeling heavy, and it's not the way you should be before bed. And I would never have learned that if I wasn't even open to questioning,
Yes.
why am I not sleeping well? Why am I not feeling good about myself?
Exactly that. And funnily enough, I do a very similar practice. So in the evening, well, me and my partner, whenever we have meals, or whenever I have meal with anyone, or I'm out with anyone, I put my phone away. So firstly, family and friends time is family and friends time. And I almost feel like that's my own rule for myself. But when I see, for example, if I'm at the dinner table and my brother whips out his phone, I'm just thinking, put your phone away. Like, now is not the time. You can wait until, and I want this rule to apply for everyone who I'm with. So my partner,
and you don't want to be the phone police. You don't want to be the person that's
this is
like,
it, right?
Put your phone away.
I know, but I just feel like when you're present and then you're there, and your phone is such a distraction, you can then go into your phone instead of listening to this piece of conversation or something that's just been said. So me and my partner do not, obviously I have dinner with him majority of my evenings, don't have any phones around. He turns his phone off early on in the evening, as do I. But a key thing for me is, something that he's always done is he puts his phone on airplane mode and then always leaves it in the living room and then goes to sleep. Now, what I used to do probably about a year and a half to 2 years ago, or even, but prior to that, I used to always take my phone in with me to the bedroom and use it as an alarm.
Same.
But what I noticed is when I woke up, the first thing I did is, okay, alarm's off, Wi-Fi's on, and let me see what messages I have, start responding to messages whilst I'm in bed. And he always said to me, that's not good. Like, as in, that's fine to do, but because I kept thinking, why am I feeling like this in the morning? I just feel a bit lazy or a bit lethargic here, or I'm not up and productive straight away, whereas he was. And then I was just trying to be like, what is it that I'm doing? So eventually I got myself an alarm clock, and now I keep my phone in my living room. And there's always the odd people who say, well, what about if there's an emergency? What if someone's trying to contact you? And I'm thinking, firstly, my phone is never on loud anyway. So if someone's trying to contact me, they will not be able to contact me until the morning anyway. I'm not going to have my phone on loud and hear all the messages and whatnot. So I just keep it on silent. So I'm just like, I'll see it in the morning. Then, what can I do in the middle of the night realistically? So it was just, that's how it's been. And it's been a game changer from doing that.
It really is, isn't it? I have found it's changed. Not just when I go to bed, because switching off your phone, or not, like I said, you don't even have to switch it off, because so the one good thing about my do not disturb thing that I have an iPhone, and it has, I'm sure most phones have this function, because when I told my mum I was doing this, she exactly what you just said, she said, well, what if there's an emergency and I need to contact you, what am I going to do? And I said, chill, it's okay, because actually if the same person calls me twice, it comes through, and hopefully no one is going to call you in the middle of the night twice. So
Yeah.
it's an emergency. So there's ways of kind of doing it, because I've been saying for months I need to buy an alarm clock, and I haven't, and I really need to. So until
Oh,
I do
get
need my
one.
phone as an alarm. But yeah, the other thing was the morning thing that you mentioned is exactly what I was doing. And I think most people, you open up your phone, you just check, oh, who's messaged me, who's done this, you have a quick scroll of social media. And it sounds quite innocent, but something I once heard, so I'm not going to take any credit for this, but it was something along the lines of, when you do that, you're allowing other people to dictate how you feel first thing in the morning and probably for the rest of your day.
It's true. This will trigger you, because this is something that used to
Exactly.
happen to me. If I see something, I don't know, something's happened, for example, to a friend or family member or anything, and that would be my trigger to be like, oh no. And that sets the tone for your day or even the morning.
Exactly.
So for now, I'm just like, right, let me have my morning to myself. Like me and my partner sit down, I read, he meditates for an hour as well every day.
Amazing.
And then we go for a walk. So every morning about 7:30, we go for a walk around the area. So half an hour walk, come back, have my breakfast. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to get into work and turn my phone on. So in the
Yeah,
morning,
and you are ready. That's, when you say you're
yes,
ready, that's what it is. You're mentally prepared for whatever the world has to throw at you, because then you can take it in the right way and digest it in the right way. One of the things that we learned actually in my yoga course, this has really stuck with me, is our kind of main sort of teacher would say, just like you wake up and you brush your teeth and you shower, whatever, all your morning things that you wouldn't leave the house without doing. I would never dream of leaving my house without brushing my teeth.
yeah,
Put your practices, your kind of spiritual practices, your meditation, whatever it is, put that in that bucket of things. So you just do it into your routine. So it doesn't matter how much sleep you've had or if you've had a late night, it doesn't matter how you're feeling. It's just part of your daily routine, because that is the way that you are then ready, not just physically on the outside because you're hygienically clean, but you're mentally clean, you're ready to absorb. So then when someone says something that might be a bit negative, or something happens to someone else that might be negative, and if you're quite an empathetic person, you can take those things in the right way. You're not going to
yes,
allow it to kind of affect your whole day, really.
yeah.
But that was quite life-changing
I
for me.
completely agree with that, because that's pretty much what I've been doing in putting into practice. So I wake up, I do actually journal for about 5-10 minutes just to kind of get my thoughts out. And then reading for me is such a big one. My mind just goes blank and it focuses purely on the story of what's happening. It could be a fiction book, nonfiction, anything that it
Yeah.
is. But when I'm in my zone, if someone's trying to talk to me, like my partner sometimes like, okay, should we go for a walk? And I'm just like, I'm reading. Like, I don't even know what he's saying. I'm just like, just leave me alone.
Just pure escapism.
Exactly. And I love that, because that then my mind is just in another world and I feel like I'm just in a good place. And then the walk really helps as well. There's lots of greenery around where we are, so we just go walking in
Oh,
greenery.
nice. That's it. Literally sounds like my dream way of starting a day. Like if I could start my day every day like that, that's exactly what I would do.
This is
Yeah,
what we've
it's a
created
really
for
nice
ourselves.
routine.
Yes. And exactly. And now we're just like, where we have the time and we have flexible schedules, so we can do what we want in the morning. It didn't used to be like that, don't get me wrong. I think it's been, for me, it's been about just probably about a year since I've been doing it, and my partner less, probably about 6 months. And yeah, it's just been a game changer, because you get that bit of quality time. So for me, my love language is quality time. So I love when we go for a walk and it's just like, oh, we just take everything in, and we're both in the same kind of mindset. Do you know what I mean? Because he's just
And you're
saying,
experiencing it together. I think that's
exactly.
it's quite like a bond that you can
Yeah.
build if you're experiencing it together.
Yeah. So he's the one who said to me, why don't you try this hour meditation with me? Which is what I did.
Ah.
I might ask him to see if I can join him again. But what we're talking about now, I'm actually currently reading a book called 10% Happier. I don't know if you know about it. It's
No, I've
basically
not
about,
heard of that.
no, it's basically about a story of a news anchor slash journalist from America who became really big. So he was very famous, and he had a bit of a meltdown and he started going on a self-discovery journey. And he's currently on the stage where he's learning about meditation and on a 10-day silent retreat. Have you ever done one of those or heard of those?
I haven't, but I can imagine it could be really powerful, because I mentioned that time in my retreat that I did just 2 hours, just 2 hours of being silent
Yeah.
was so, it was insane. It was really different to anything I've ever experienced before. So I can't even imagine 10 days.
Yeah, because we were actually talking about it this morning on our walk, me and my fiance. And I was just saying, oh, the guy in the book started off by feeling anxious about going into it, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be bored. What am I going to do? I can't talk to anyone. I can't really make eye contact with anyone. There's no external stimulus, no phones, no TV, nothing, right? So it's just you. And he was so anxious going in. And the first 5 days he found to be horrible. He was just like, I'm struggling a lot. And then after the 5th day is when he had his breakthrough, and exactly what you're saying there. And it took him 5 days to get there. Now, he obviously went in. I was saying to my partner, because I was like, oh, I think I would feel the same about it being boring, or, you know, and I'm already in a happy place. And he was just thinking, well, he said, well, maybe that's why you should be doing it, because this will help you overcome that. Because imagine if you were alone for 10 days, like what would happen? So it's really interesting about this whole meditation retreat. It's something that we might be looking into to do in the future, just 10 days of silence. And
that sounds so interesting. I think that it would be something that you would learn so much about yourself, because that's a lot of time. We are just so used to talking, sometimes just for the sake of it, because that's the natural thing to do, right?
Exactly. But the one thing I was saying to him is I would do it potentially, but it's just having the right mindset when you're going in. I would hate to be going into this 10-day retreat thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm going to be so bored and I'm just going to be anxious. I'm not even going to learn anything. You know, what am I going to do? That's not, for me, the right attitude to go into something like this. So, you know, as you said, you do things when it's the right timing. And I feel like that. It's almost like when it's right, I will be able to do it. For now, I don't feel like it's right for me at the moment, at this stage.
It probably says something about your state of mind, because I don't know who this person is, but when you're talking about him, I feel like, because I'm thinking back when I did, just very short version, but when I did that 2 hours, how I felt, I think if you're in a place where you're just not as comfortable with yourself, or you're not used to being silent by yourself in any kind of stillness, of course, 10 days of it is going to feel like hell, probably. But I think the more closer you are at being comfortable with that, it's probably less anxiety. So for you, you're saying 10 days, okay, you're interested in it, something you would like to do, maybe not right now, but I think that shows that you're open to it. You're okay. Like, you're obviously comfortable being on your own by yourself.
I really enjoy being by myself.
Same. I really do. Yeah, I do too. I think it's a type of, I feel like everyone needs it, but I definitely think that if you're the type of person, I do get my energy from myself, like by going inwards. And I know there's all these different types of, you know, what type you are, and introvert, extrovert, and all these complicated ways of doing it. I don't know all those, what am I according to that, but I definitely feel like I get my energy from within as opposed to externally. So for some people, they need to be around people to get that buzz and get going, but I think that makes me tired. That kind of sucks my energy. I need to go inwards to, like, I think for me, I love the time that I get to myself. It's very rare these days, but I
was going to say, as a mother of two, it must be difficult.
It is difficult, but I think I found ways. So for me, like, I have to wake up earlier than my kids, and that doesn't matter what they're going through. If they're going through 6 a.m. wake ups, and I have to wake up at 5. If they're waking up at 7, when I'm lucky, I get to wake up at 6. Like, whatever kind of, you know, phase they're going through, I have to wake up before, because if I get woken up by them, those days are when I am at my worst. I just feel like I've been woken up and I haven't had time to settle myself down. All these practices that we're talking about, you need that time to yourself to get to that stage. And definitely being a mum, I just found that I need to spend that time with myself to then be the best that I can be for them.
Wow. I'll have to come to you for some tips in the future whenever I'm thinking about that.
Yes, definitely.
Sounds like you've got a good routine and a good kind of process going on. So I like that. It's good. So can you tell us what is next for you? What have you got planned?
Oh gosh, what have I got planned? To be honest, it changes all the time. Recently, I had some time off, and I think that really allowed me to actually sit back and think about, what am I doing? What did I kind of set out to achieve when I started this journey? And even, you know, a year ago when I started to decide, and it was about a year ago actually when I decided to formally kind of quit my day job, my kind of corporate life, and just kind of thinking about all of that. And I think I have got a little bit more, I think I felt like I was going a little bit off course, just focusing. You get kind of caught up in things, and I think for me it's really just focusing on the 1 or 2 things where I feel, areas where I feel like I can add something to people's lives. So I think I'm really concentrating on so pregnancy yoga is something that I qualified in the pandemic, and I felt like, for me, yoga, my pregnancy, my motherhood, it all kind of came around the same time. So that's where I really saw some of the powerful effects of it. So where naturally it's very natural to feel a bit anxious and all these things that come with pregnancy and motherhood, I felt like I could deal with it so much better because I had those tools being thrown at me throughout my course. So I really wanted to share that yoga practice and all these tools with other kind of mums to be and stuff. So pregnancy yoga is a big area where I'm focusing on and trying to kind of develop ways of kind of accessing more mums to be more second time, third time mums who don't have as much time. So I'm kind of developing that side of things. And also the meditation is something that I realized, although I was always doing elements of it in my classes, I really feel like it's something that needs to have focus all on its own.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's kind of an independent piece of the puzzle, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think some people don't get that. Some people do get it. And I always get people asking me, like, do you have a meditation class? And I've always along the months, I've always had to say, no, I didn't have a meditation class, but you can join my yoga class. You can join my power yoga class and you get elements of it. And I think I realized that I actually want to be able to say to the next person that asks me, I want to be able to say, yes, I have a meditation class. You can come join it. And I haven't figured it out. This is something I want to do in the coming months. I haven't quite figured out how long it is, when it is. That's what I need to figure out, where I can make it most accessible to people, because I just do feel like it's something that's changed my life so much. So naturally, that's the piece of yoga that I really want to share with others. And the things that I just see and hear, and like everyone around me as well, there's so many instances where I just feel like if you could get to a place, and I know it's not easy, I think it's a lot of self-work. If you can get to a place where you can sit in stillness and meditate as regularly as you can, that can genuinely help to sort out so many issues that I hear about and I talk to people about and stuff. So I've always wanted to share that. And I think I realized I wasn't sharing it enough. It didn't feel like I was being able to share it enough. So even just talking about it with you on this podcast is amazing, because I have never been able to share it as a whole journey and to share kind of how it's helped me along the way.
Yeah, I can just see how passionate you are about it. So I definitely think this meditation class is something that you should be doing. I'd be interested. So watch your space, everyone, because this is coming soon. Can you tell the listeners, how can they find you?
At the moment, I guess the best way is through Instagram. It's where I share most. Instagram or Facebook. I'm probably much more active on Instagram in terms of sharing my practices, sharing just my day-to-day life, random snippets of things that I think could be helpful. That's what I always try and do. I always try and share something that's going to be helpful. I do not want to be someone that shares, look how amazing my life is, look how happy I am. That's not what I want to share. So if you ever feel like that, please tell me that that's how it's coming across. Because what I really want to share is actually how you can use all these tools that I've just come across randomly throughout my yoga journey, throughout my spiritual journey. I just want people to be able to have them because they're so accessible for everyone. Like anyone can do them, and it's just figuring out what's going to work for you. So for now, it's Instagram is the main thing. I am working on a website because I do understand that social media is very distracting. And if I am at the moment, that's my only place to share. Like I have kind of short meditations on my Instagram account, on my IGTV, where if you wanted like a guided meditation, just a few minutes of it, that's where it is. But I totally understand that Instagram is not really the first place I want people to go to when you're thinking about stillness and meditating. It's very distracting. You have to be quite focused to just go to where you need to go and not get distracted. Yeah. So I am working on a website as well. So definitely be sharing details of it once all of that has happened amongst the normal day-to-day mum life as well.
Amazing. And just a quick one. What is your Instagram handle? I obviously know it, but I'll put it in the show notes, but just so listeners can hear it now.
Yep. So you can find me at _grounded yogi.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rima, for coming on this podcast. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you about everything you're passionate about, because I'm so passionate about it as well. And you saw me nodding and smiling a lot because I can just relate to everything.
It's been so nice to talk to someone who isn't looking at me like I'm a crazy person or switching off. It's so nice to see you nodding and like agreeing and just hearing your experiences as well. Like I'm not the only one, right? Like there's been so many similarities. That's amazing. And thank you so much, like I said, just for giving me a chance to be able to talk about my whole journey from kind of start to finish.
You're welcome. It was a great podcast. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to the Fearless Females Voice podcast. Be sure to complete the free Fearless test where you can discover how to increase your confidence, build your resilience and self-love. You can find this test on my website, which is www.fearlessfemales.me. And to connect with other like-minded females, make sure you join our Facebook group, which is called Fearless Females. Oh, and one last thing. I'd like you to do a massive favor for me. If you enjoyed this episode, then be sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Thank you.